It's the Tiger Sports Live Breakdown Podcast brought to you by Crossbuck Construction Company. Now, here's your hosts, Scott Barrett and Bryan Babcock.
Oh, a 5-0 edition of the Crossbuck Construction podcast with Jigs here, and we just want to thank Nathan Lighty, and not only want to thank Nathan Lighty, but I want to thank Lucas Lighty for the way he plays Jigs. I don't know if you've got a chance to tune into some freshman games and some. I mean, I know Nathan and Eric are excited, but Crossbuck Construction has been a big supporter this year of us, and you've had some work done by Nate. I'm getting work done starting Monday by Nate, but Lucas Lighty brings a motor and a toughness, and he's excited. He reminds me of Mark Gastineau back of the New York Sack Exchange, where I don't know if you remember in the 80s, he would have a dance and this and that, and the Jets were really good in the 80s, and gosh, the excitement he brings to the table, and Lucas is a great addition to the younger part of our roster. But thank you, Nathan and Erica, Crossbuck Construction, and anxious to get into this, Jigs. It's been kind of a unique week, some travel, some business, and a couple of games that obviously when you look on the schedule and you look and see where Liberty Center is at and you look and see where Swanton and Bryan is at, you knew these were going to be, games that we were going to win and win handily. And some of the things you worry about, and even to dial that back a minute, it's difficult. I have PTSD on how good Swanton and Bryan have been in a 100-year history of this league, how good they have been for 80 of those years. Mm-hmm. And to see Swanton and Bryan today, I know you played against good Swanton and Bryan teams, and I played against Swanton and Bryan teams that are winning leagues and winning 8 games and 9 games and big rosters, and the communities were supportive, and they were just a great part of the NWL. They are not today.
Right. Their
football programs are not, and I'm sure both coaching staffs are aware, and this isn't even a critique. It's just when you see where they're at and where we're at, it's just hard to grasp how poorly Swanton and Bryan have played, and those roster sizes and their records, and tough to go to Swanton and be in that beautiful stadium, Dave Hansbarger Stadium, and just they're not very good football right now. And Bryan last night, just worse, Bryan. And maybe talk about a little bit about what you, and we talked about this last week with Jeremy at Swanton. You come to Swanton, we all played there, big games there, a lot of league titles, a lot of Dave Hansbarger, a lot of Coach Fisher, a lot of culture. It's tough to watch how bad they are right now.
Yeah. I think that from Liberty Center standpoint, the coaching staff has done a great job of just keeping the kids up and ready. Mm-hmm. It's easy a lot of times when you're going into those weeks, to maybe have a lackadaisical practice week, right? Because the guys aren't as focused. Unfortunately, players, they hear some of the outside noise. They know that some of the records and some of the things going into these games. So I think that's an impressive thing with this coaching staff, and is keeping these players grounded, keeping them focused.
Yeah.
And when you go in against these teams, you don't want drop off. You don't want to have bad plays and negative plays and look flat. And we haven't the last 2 weeks. I think we came out ready to go against Swanton and Bryan and beat them the way we should have. And then you get your starters out of the game. We didn't have any significant injuries that I know of either of those 2 weeks. Got the young guys in there to get a lot of meaningful reps, sophomores, freshmen, and that's a program builder as well. When you get some young kids in, get a taste of Friday night, and then they kind of like that. And it's like, man, I want to keep coming back because I want to get more time on Friday nights. So it's good to see some of the young guys play in these games, get some of that momentum going from, really all 4 grades. And you can't, you can't change the schedule, right? They're part of the league. You got to play them. You hope those programs kind of get some things figured out and become competitive again, because as a fan, as a broadcaster, it's tough to kind of get up for these games. Yeah. Honestly, you watch film and you're like, what am I watching right now? It's hard to pick anything good where you're like, all right, we can focus on this or this is going to challenge us. It's hard to pick that from these last 2 weeks. So certainly took care of business the way we were supposed to, and I think the second half of this schedule looks pretty strong.
Yeah, we talked about the competitiveness. I do actually think I've been a big critic of football in Northwest Ohio the last few years. Just a lot of mediocre football.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not terrible, but it's not been very good. And it's good to see a Fairview. It's good to see Patrick Henry doing what they're doing. But to your point, we did escape the Swanton Bryan deal with no injuries, and that was my first consideration. Casey and I talk each week, Jigs, and we talk on air and we talk off air. And you talk on air and you try to think through a game and you try to hand our fan base a little structure as to how they're going to approach these opponents and what they look like, and so our fans can go to games and feel a little more educated. And I think Casey does a great job with that. We always tease him. He's like Jim Tressel. He doesn't say a whole lot.
Tight to the vest.
Never negative. He never says anything that is too controversial. But he does address things, and I think I bring things to his attention. He addresses, but off the camera, you start thinking about, man, we don't need to go into this game and play our starters for a half and get anybody hurt, and we did not do that. I do think, and we can take a quick look at the varsity's performance until we move on, and you would want to talk to about some of the young guys, and there's a lot to talk about with those young guys, even the deeper young guys. We don't maybe highlight the sophomores a little bit today, but I thought that there was a focus. I think Garrison had, just sticks out like a sore thumb. I just think that he is a Division I football player, a little bit like what you saw, from the Krieger kid last year in Northwestern. He just sticks out, and his Garrison size and speed is just another level. Swanton or Bryan really couldn't handle that at all. I thought our offensive line executed very well. I really like the evolution of our guard play. I've just been watching those guards, and I really just think that, again, one of the three question marks we had coming in, secondary, quarterback, and who's that other guard next to Mad Max? And I think we have answered those questions. I think they're really playing well. And, I think Liberty Center right now with Caden Crimebrink can throw the ball at any down, any spot on the field. We've thrown it on the 1 yard line. We've thrown it at midfield. We have an intermediate passing game. He can stretch the field. I think we did all those things. And like you like to say, they put some things on film, and Bill Inseman is an all-time great for Patrick Henry. This is PH week, and he's looking at everything. He's preparing. He started last night, I'm sure, got home, grabbed a sandwich, got right on this game. So there was a lot of good things for our varsity in those two halves. I mean, there was a lot of good execution. There was no turnovers. There wasn't a bunch of penalties. I think this team is playing pretty clean football right now.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that just goes to but part of the depth. Like a lot of these juniors and seniors, they've been playing a lot of football. They've been playing Friday nights for the last several years, along with the JV schedule, and they're getting a lot of time. And when they come up, they're just ready to go, and there's really no drop off. And this depth, it's been incredible, really, the last 5 years. When you get a guy that goes down or a guy gets hurt, it's a lot of times it doesn't. Not that it doesn't matter, but the next guy just steps in and there's no drop off, and you can't say that in other programs in NWAL. There's some players that they lose, and that's your whole season, and that's just not the case at Liberty Center anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we just can't say enough about how good Tyler Roars was, and what an impact he was already making. Speed, size, cover corner. You really liked him. Early on, I was hoping he could evolve into a player that could. He was playing some good corner.
Yeah.
And you start thinking, gosh, you lost Tyler. There's a senior, and there's a speed guy. He's your wing back. We have not missed a beat.
Yeah.
Getting Connor Sonnenberg back has been Caden. I would say Connor. I just think it was brother because his brother was so good. Caden Sonnenberg. We get him back.
Yeah.
I just feel like that was I just think that just kind of brought it back to the excellence that we've seen in the defensive backfield. Because when he was inserted in that Eastwood game, whoa, he made such a big difference, and he has made a huge difference. So as much as you hate losing Tyler Roars, you get you get Caden back in the lineup, and now you're getting just really good play all over the field. I mean, you never hear a thing about Ethan Gray because it's all quiet.
Yeah,
it's all quiet over there.
He doesn't get tested much.
It's all quiet over there. Like, is Ethan Gray playing? Well, when you're a defensive back and your name doesn't get called, that's a good thing.
Exactly.
Like I had somebody ask me the other day about, man, what do you think, Gray? I'm like, well, on defense, when you're not talking about Ethan Gray, he's just kind of taking that side of the ball, and taking full responsibility for that. And then it even lurched into last night's game with JT Olcrew.
Yeah.
Play number 1, breaks on a ball pick, and here we go.
Yeah.
And that's another player that. So talk a little bit about, because I know you like that's the part you like to really, the linebackers, the defensive line, but I think the secondary, and coming into a Patrick Henry game, we got to go. We got to be ready.
Yeah.
I think they're ready.
Well, I think you're looking at 4 or 5 corners right now that can go and play in big, meaningful games, and there's no drop-off. Same with the snipers. You got 4 or 5 guys that can go and play.
Well too. They're playing well, too.
They are. And then, you're seeing Murdoch kind of come up in that deep safety, to kind of back up Thomas. So the depth is really nice in the secondary right now, and these are guys that they're making plays on the ball. They're intercepting passes. They're active in the run game, and you just love to see it. And really there's multiple guys that have kind of different body makeup and different, I guess, skill sets. You saw Isaac Orth in a run-heavy game against Otsego just really thrive. Mason Smith's,
Big game.
Probably a little bit better in the run game versus the pass game. JT Olcrew really thrives. So there's some chess pieces there where you got, if you're going against a pass-heavy team, maybe JT plays a little bit more at that sniper. Run-heavy, maybe you insert Smith, Sonnenberg, and Orth. So there's a lot of guys that they have, and I think the coaching staff's doing a great job of getting them all in, keeping them all fresh and ready. And we talk about the competitive nature of getting on the field, man. You better show up and you better do your job, because the next guy's just sitting there waiting. And if he gets inserted and playing better, he's earning reps, and you go to the back of the line sometimes.
I think that's where I think our fan base has really embraced this team. It's so competitive in the week.
Yeah.
I asked Baxter and Bergstrom, how did practice go? And I'll tell you that those Tuesdays and those Wednesdays get real fierce.
Oh,
because you want the reps in practice, because they're now, as you get deeper in the season, Casey and that staff is managing the reps, there's managing the hitting, all those things. So you get 10 plays sometimes in a period, and you want all of them. And these young guys, I mean, you're going to talk about the sophomores, Jigs, but they're hungry. These sophomores want to get on a field, and they're pressing the juniors and the seniors. And guys like Tatum Murdoch and I mean, Henry Fincherreiter is just blowing up.
Yeah, he is.
He is just, there's a lot of things he does well. We've loved Isaiah Badenhop since day one.
Yep.
I mean, Sawyer Backelman is becoming a 3-technique, hand down, tackled, or defensive end, whatever you want to call him in this 3-man line. But he's starting to rise. I mean, if you just turn the film on and say, all I'm going to do today for the next 10 minutes is watch number 70, and you watch him from day one to Nora, and you watch him last night, whoa. Yeah. He is a rising star. And guys like Brody Jakeway, I mean, just 35 is everywhere. And I know that last night we blew him out. It was 76-7. But if you're watching 35 play, just watch him. He's a little undersized, but he plays.
He's got a burst.
He's just hard core.
Yep.
So I did not expect sophomores to let's talk about sophomores. I knew they were good. You did that. We all know Tatum. I mean, just watch it. But I did not expect these guys to be playing this kind of role. Maybe Sawyer, is for some depth.
Yes.
We got Gabe Clapp there at a tackle who's played well in his snaps, but I think they're providing tremendous impact in this football team.
They are. I mean, name a few more. Silvas, Spangler. We talked about Badenhop and Murdoch. I mean, they're meaningful minutes to the point to where if you need them to start, you're okay with it. Like, these guys are playing that well, and that's kind of the next wave. This is the freshman year. It's tough. You got to be just above outstanding to get any type of meaningful, rotational reps on a Friday night. But that sophomore year, that's when you start to kind of push, and you see guys in flashes of of certain plays and special teams. Now they're being relied upon special teams a lot, and those guys have really come up, and you gotta love what you see out of the sophomore class.
I just think that when you're watching these games, that's what Swanton and Bryan does for you. It allows for you to get a little bit of a peek to the future, and all of those players would start on most rosters. Maybe not at PH, maybe some at PH, but the rest of this league would be happy to start these kids, and they would all be productive.
Yep.
Very high-end players, and they're providing this great depth. And yeah, that's not to say that. I mean, I didn't mean to exclude Cole Spangler and those guys. You've got a group that plays. You've got another group that's right there to make about a 7 or 8 man core. That if we got into injury situations, those sophomores could play.
Yeah. Like
if we heaven forbid, we got into something with a Thomas Moeller where he gets a little banged up. Yes, you're going to miss another Casey Moeller 2.0 on the field. You can't replace that. And I think that's out of all the things that Thomas Moeller does for a football, I think he does that. He's almost like a defensive coordinator on the field. I think Matt Bryan really relies on him. I think Matt Bryan said early in the season, "Hey man, you just make the calls." So I think that is just a comfort that the staff has with Thomas. But if Thomas were to go down or need some reps off, I would not be afraid at all at Tatum Murdoch today.
Right.
Now maybe day one at Tenor he wasn't.
Sure.
I think today he's ready.
Yeah.
I think these guys are ready to play. I think Isaiah Badenhop has been ready and is a top line player.
And better.
I just think that these guys have shown it's exciting to see because you're going to hate missing seniors. You just hate it and you just lament it. We hated missing last year's seniors and the year before, and you're like, gosh, what are you going to do without these seniors? But, man, you got so many high-quality sophomores. I did want to focus on 2 position groups before we start to talk about PH. I just think it's exciting to these 2 weeks give us a chance to. We're not the coaches, but we do have a tendency to watch film. We talk a lot during the week about certain position groups and things that, gosh, we got to play better there. First of all, Jackson Lonizek gets no credit for being a good blocker.
Oh yeah,
we want to talk about how great his physique is, how fast he is. Look at those hands. He's such this guy's a blocker, man.
Extended tackle.
Is a blocker.
Yes.
Now last year, our big innovation was to put Spangler, to put Hunter Spangler as a tight end.
Right.
I enjoyed that. I enjoyed watching him just add meat and beef, and that was great. I mean, it was just Waylon Rentz and Spangler just road grading. And that PH game late, that kind of what that looked like. But gosh, Jackson Lonizek can block, man.
Yeah.
I took 9 plays and goes, I'm going to get off the catches and the runs and all the awesomeness. I just want to watch him block. Well, like, whoa, if I'm an opposing coach, he's a blocker.
Yes.
That guy can move people.
Yeah. Well, I talk about the left side quite a bit, and he is part of that, and he's like an extended tackle. The way he gets on people. Now, when we used to block back, I played tight end a little bit as a sophomore, and it was all hips and shoulders, and we weren't up. He's getting on defensive ends, up top, locking out and creating edges consistently. And you see him
turning guys
like an offensive tackle. That's how he blocks. And he's strong enough to do it, and he's big enough to do it, and he's just as good as a receiver as he is a blocker. So, no, I think that's an underrated part of his game. And once again, it's hard to see that from the press box view when you get the end zone view. That's when you watch and you're like, wow, he is not missing blocks. Similar to that whole left side. Spangler, Walker, Weimer, him. That is a duo. That is a 4 that maybe I don't know. I don't like to talk best ever, but that 4 I would stack up on a side of any Liberty Center offensive line.
And then you're getting a little
that I've seen
little boost from your wing that likes to be real physical. Now, I won't put him in that same class as those. You get Mad Max, and you got Kellen Weimer, he is Kellen Weimer, and Jackson, and those guys are awesome, and I love watching it. I just love watching that. Sometimes you follow the ball, and here goes Garrison, guys. Garrison will give you a show every time he touches it.
Yeah.
Dial that back a bit. If you have the discipline to watch what the left side of the offensive line period is fun to watch. But just watching those dudes for about 4, just do it. And you're like, whoa. Now I know why there are Mack truck holes to run through. I even made the statement last night that I think Spike and I could run through some of those holes. Mark Bly, the captain, says, I'm not so sure. I think, Mark, I could have. I don't know. That's how big it is. And then Baxter has added an element of physicality where he maybe struggled early, making sure he understood the game a little bit better instead of just playing the game. I really like what Baxter's doing, too, when I watch him make big blocks. We talk about touchdown blocks at the third level, and when you're 6 foot whatever, 200 whatever, center gets down blocking safeties. I love watching Hunter Spangler do that. That's pretty awesome. But that left side plus wing has been I don't even know that you can scheme it. You can put another guy over there. I don't know.
It does it.
What are you going to do? These guys are going to get on you and move you.
I know. I think about some run plays that we really even haven't had to rely on yet. Like, imagine we get in the game, we got to run a power, 35 power to the left side. Like, what are you going to do with that?
Right.
We could run it every single play, and you're going to get 3-4 yards every single play. And there's nothing you're going to do about it.
You were a part of 35 power lore.
Yes. I mean,
you know how it was called 8 and 9 times in a row. And I think last year against PH in that last drive, I think we went to 4
straight
5
ahead.
Power.
Let's go power
downhill.
That's it.
Yeah.
And we haven't had to do that in games yet because we really haven't had an opposing, front seven that can challenge us in a way that we had to do some of those things.
Well, I think
but
Patrick Henry
that's maybe coming. Coming.
We'll
that might be a big play.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Week.
The other group I've been looking a lot at is I've just been very curious about the guard play. And, of course, Mad Max is an all-league player, all-district player, likely all Ohio. It's it's unfortunate. We talk about as analysts all these positions that, gosh, we got to shore up, we got to get better, we got to build depth. Well, the reason why we're focused on that is because these other dudes are just doing it. Kellen Weimer's just doing it.
I know.
You just plugged him in. He's going to Ohio State. It's fine. He's going to go. He's going P5. He's good. Like, dude, that's a generational player at tackle.
Yes.
And if you watch him, you don't have to worry about anything about what he's doing. Kellen Weimer has been 4 and 5 star all year.
Yep.
And Mad Max has been equally as good. He is phenomenal, and he's been healthy, which you love. So let's just make sure our fan, because I've gotten a little bit of like, you guys don't talk about.
Well,
you don't talk about Kellen Weimer like you don't talk about Ethan Gray like. We don't. I don't even have them written down because they're so good.
It's just it's the standard, right?
Yeah, it's the standard,
and it's just so solid every single week. And Weimer he's at that tackle, and I say it quite a bit, but a lot of times you don't notice tackles because his guy is just getting turned, getting erased,
gone.
You don't notice he's not a running back, right? I mean, naturally, everybody's eyes go to the running back and the quarterback and all that stuff, but we talk about the line play, and he has just been unreal. And Max Walker, I don't know that we've seen a player to his the way that he can do it, special teams, offense, defense. He might, we talk about all-time greats all the time, but his ability to kick the ball, punt, kickoff, extra points,
hit the big
field
goals, the big ones,
and then play in the all-state level guard, all-state level linebacker. I mean, that guy I just rattled off 6 things that he does for this football team. And we don't talk about him enough, but he's just that good, and he is ready every single week. He's got the mentality for it. So you're right. We could go right down the list. We could just highlight every single player, but we don't have that much time.
I feel kind of dumb sometimes not talking about how good they are.
Yes.
And I just watch Max Walker, and I watch Walker, and there's another tackle, and there's another great block, and there's a great pull, and there's another 0-1, and there's Max Walker.
And he's blowing a kid up on
there's Max Walker blowing the ball in the end zone. There's Max Walker in a state final making a 40 whatever. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah.
And I do believe he has won games in special teams. Like,
yes.
I think he has punted, kicked off, and hit field goals in games himself to win. I do think that he is to be talked about in that light. I do think when we think about in the pantheon of greatest players in this program, he may not be the greatest linebacker. He may not be the greatest guard. Real good at both.
Yes.
He might be the greatest. I don't know.
He might be the greatest
kicker.
Yeah,
I don't know. He might be. And then he can punt. He can do all this, but all those things. That's a great point. He might be one of the greatest players that's ever been in this program. But here's my natural tendency to go back to, I always want to. I'm always kind of negative, and I'm always like a coach, and I always want to focus on weak areas. And I really felt like these other guards needed to step up to Max Walker.
Yeah.
That standard you talk about. Deegan Swigert. I love the way Lucas Navarre has played.
Yeah.
Henry Fitzenreiter. You got Dippy that gives you some Cifuentes.
Right.
That's a lot of dudes, I think, from an aggregate perspective, equal Max Walker.
Yeah.
And now you're starting to see really good play.
Yeah.
I thought Deegan Swigert had one of his best games of his career, if not his best game of his career last night.
Yep.
And I really like how we've seen Lucas Navarre grow.
Right.
And that was like, is he gonna do this? Because he's got great size and he's doing it.
Yep.
And then you got the sophomore who just is right on their heels. And I think that Nick Miller and I think that Brad Howe and I think that Todd Spangler love these guys. I don't think it's let's get them ready, got to get them ready.
No.
I think they're ready, and I think they're producing.
Well, and two, it's so good. Cifuentes doesn't. You don't even have to have him play guard, and then you can just say, "I want you to focus on defense."
And look at what he's done. Look what he's done there.
I know.
What has he done as your one technique at the nose guard?
Keep a guy fresh like that, and he thrives on the defensive side of the ball. So let's play him there more. And you need him on the guard. You can pull him over. And then, Schweigert and Navarre both playing defensive line, but more in that secondary rotation. So let's give them guys more reps at the kind of the starting guard role. And then Fitzenreiter really on offense and defense. So, no, we got 4 guys that just plug and play each and every week. And
could we not have an offensive line podcast?
We could.
We had Nick Miller in here.
We could.
We were there 20 minutes before the podcast.
Yes.
We talk an hour and whatever. We sit here and Mark Bly's like, "Hey guy, I gotta go home. I got a kidney stone as big as Andre the Giant. I'm sweating to death. It's 11 o'clock. I gotta go." He literally shuts the lights down, and we're talking about the offensive line and having a great time and about it, and because it's so good.
Yeah.
And it's so good because of Nick Miller and Todd Spangler and Brad Howe and all those other guys that contribute to it all the way through the system.
Yep.
You just keep putting in running backs, and you keep these running backs are so good. Guys, they are good, but this is the offensive line that has been so good. And hats off to that offensive line group. Again, Liberty Center 64-0 over Swanton, 76-7. I think it's a record. I think, and it's unfortunate because we weren't even trying. I mean,
no,
you put the freshmen.
They were driving.
Yikes! There was no kneeling. Those guys wanted to take snaps and run 0-1s, and they did. But the last thing I would want to mention before we take a break and get on to Patrick Henry, I worry that these games have been a little easy. I worry that it's been 8 consecutive quarters of ease. I know our practices are competitive, and I know that there's plans and processes, and Casey's very precise in preparation, and it's just one game after the next, and all those things. I understand all that. But, boy, these are kids, man. And this is a huge game, and I thought PH really was ready for us last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were kind of riding high. It was kind of, well, here we are, and PH is like, we're going to take this from you. I don't know. I watched the film, and we're going to talk about PH here in a minute, but in the psyche of I know I've talked about it, and people say, well, geez, you're from the 80s. I love talking about games from the 60s and the 50s, and I love talking about games from all of our generations. But I can tell you, we were undefeated, and a very mediocre Wauseon team came in here in '87, and we were really happy with ourselves. We were doing it 6-0. Look at us, Liberty Center, we're back, and they came in and they beat us. They kind of ruined our season in '87. I think Wauseon may have won a 6-win team, and you should have seen them. They're like, we ruined your year. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter if you win all these games, if you lose a game that you should take care of, or it's just a stench on that. We've all been through losses. Anything on the psychology on too many easy quarters and too much back-to-back ease, or you feel like that's not going to be an issue?
I don't think it's going to be an issue just because this coaching staff, I think, just preps these players week in and week out, regardless who the opponent is, and there's really no drop-off. I do think the 4-quarter game will be interesting. I think, we were Eastwood, I think you could say, was a 4-quarter game.
Because I think we're going to be in one.
I think we're going to be in one. I agree. But same thing with Patrick Henry. I think Columbus Grove, you heard about some cramping, some players going down. Mm-hmm. Are they ready to play a 4-quarter rock 'em, sock 'em, in the trenches, big hitting game, we're going to find out. But I think these players are the rest has been good. But sometimes when you got to turn it on and just give that extra quarter or two, cramping and some of these things can be an issue. But I don't expect that to be a problem for Liberty. But it's something you think about, no doubt.
Yeah, we got to be ready. We're going to get to the second half of this podcast and give you a little bit of a architecture of the 5-0 Patrick Henry Patriots coming into Rex Lindgren Stadium, Kip Kern Field next week. It's the biggest game of the year in this league, and I think everybody knew that, and it's going to be. So let's take a little break, and we'll get back in a minute.
Crossbuck Construction Company, providing exceptional quality for our clients for over 20 years. Call 419-966-9341 for details. Demolition. We handle the tough stuff so you don't have to. Our demolition service is all about safety and efficiency. Whether it's old concrete, asphalt, or structures, we've got the tools and the skills to clear the way for your new projects. Hauling services. You have debris? We'll take it away. Our hauling service with our dump trucks are ready to remove and transport materials from your site, making your construction or cleanup projects hassle-free. Residential concrete. Your home deserves the best. We provide top-notch concrete services for driveways, sidewalks, patios, and more. Expect a perfect finish every time, adding value and curb appeal to your home. Commercial concrete, strong foundations for your business. Our commercial concrete services are tailored for durability and precision. From large foundations to flat work, we ensure your commercial space stands on solid ground. Excavating and site prep, digging done right. Our excavating services are all about precision and care, whether it's for foundations, landscaping, or drainage installations. We ensure your ground is prepared perfectly for what's next. Drainage solutions. Keep water away the right way. Our drainage solutions are designed to protect your property from water damage. We assess, plan, and implement effective drainage systems, ensuring long dryness. Here's some of our Crossbuck construction statistics. 55 years of experience, 1,216 yards of concrete poured, and over 3,000 tons of material moved. Call Crossbuck Construction at 419-966-9341 for details, or go to Crossbuck.co to get a free quote.
And we are back, second half of our Crossbuck Construction podcast. And again, we just like to say thanks to Nathan Lighty and Erica. And they do such a good job and have really done some good work in our community. And we appreciate their sponsoring the podcast. And Bryan, we've been kind of waiting all year to talk about this. You know, we've had some good games. We've had some Eastwood games, and I get accused sometimes of hyping up the opponent a little too much. And okay, Barrett, can we just get it straight? Like, I don't know, man. As a coach, I feel like Nick and I talk. We're sandbaggers. We're sandbaggers. You got to prepare for the worst.
Absolutely,
you can't say, "Oh yeah, we're just going to cruise here." Like, I don't know. Otsego presented something we hadn't seen.
Yes.
Eastwood had. They were 20-5 the last. So, you know, I kind of get teased. Gosh, you just don't want to go into this game. I mean, I know that you have a tendency to say, "We're going to do this. We're going to beat these guys." Patrick Henry is 5-0, and I don't know that there's a better coach. Of course, my coach is the greatest in my mind, and Rex Lindgren. People would argue there's some other great coaches. You know, Dave Hansbarger was a great coach, and Coach Emmons from Wauseon was a great coach, and Cliff Height was we can go down the line. You can argue that Bill Inseman is the greatest coach in the 100-year history of this league. I think he's proven it. You go over there and you look at their scoreboard, and there's league titles everywhere, and there's state semifinals, and they've got regional. I mean, they just piles them up over there. The guy doesn't stop losing. He goes away for a couple of years. That whole thing goes down about 3 wins.
Yeah.
I mean, we had guys that coached over there that were his disciples, and just wasn't the same. He just jumps right back in. Here we go, win a league 10-0. Like, I mean, Bill Inseman and Nick Miller will speak to it. Nobody coaches personnel.
Yes.
No one gets his. Okay, this is what we got, guys. We don't have a kid going to Northwestern. We got a bunch of plotters. How are we going to grow? I mean, every year it's different. It's different. You know, we're a wing team. Rex was far more traditional in that with Tim Spiess and that. Casey has evolved with some. We're still a wing T team, but we do different things. Bill is an evolutionary guy every year.
Right.
He is so good at building teams around his talent. In my view, Patrick Henry has always been talented. They've always been deep and rich in skilled players. They always find some quarterback that's able to throw for ridiculous yards and execute, as you've talked about, this timing pattern pass play business where, these guys just are on time and they don't drop balls. They have big tight ends, and they've got an offensive and defensive line, as far as I'm concerned. And you might talk about where you like them more on the D line more than the O line, but there's experience, there's strength there. And they did a number on us last year for 2.5 quarters. That was an impressive performance. And you say, well, that was last year, Buck. I mean, it's all different. I don't know how different it is.
Yeah.
I don't know when I see this game and the way I looked at it last year, I don't know that it's different. I don't know that this game doesn't look a lot like last year's game.
Yeah.
And so, lastly, I would just say there's some debate about the quarterback. He leads the league in passing, so I don't know if we can have that debate. But I think just Tristan Rosebrook is a very interesting guy. Tall, you put him in shotgun, put him underneath center. He makes throws. He's got Trent Johnson at tight end, who I really like. There's a lot of dudes over there that you have to account for. I think Reed Krieger is just off the chart athletic.
Yeah.
He got banged up last night in their Wauseon game. What are your thoughts about this Patrick Henry team?
Yeah, I think if you look at last year, I think our view going into that game is we should have been probably 4, maybe 5 touchdowns better. That was kind of the thought. Like,
Bill Inceman kind of made that go away.
And then that was they had us on the ropes there in the fourth quarter, and it was uncomfortable. So going back to playing these games up, I don't know if we're playing them up. I mean, if Patrick Henry team comes in with this amount of talent, you better be ready to play this game because they're coming to win, and they can. They have the players and the ability to do it. I think if you kind of look at the difference, last year Krieger, they just rode him, right? I mean, he was
all of it.
Division I. I mean,
all of
middle linebacker, quarterback that is just power run from the quarterback position. This team looks a little bit different. They got 2 really good running backs. Schroeder, number 4, he's the kid that kind of came in at quarterback last year. Number 22 is also, I don't know his last name. I don't have the roster, but another very good running back.
Cal Schroeder, Jaden Rudder. These guys are all pretty skilled guys.
Skilled guys. I mean, Schroeder he's shifty. He can break tackles and he can get up the field quickly. If you look at their receiving core, you mentioned Krieger. He's a guy he's a 6'3" plus athlete. You've seen them throw fade balls to him where he, corners in tow, back shoulder, he just rises up and can go get his own. He is a weapon on the outside, and their other receivers are good players as well. Offensive line, they're big. I mean, they are big. They got and then they put the Smith kid at tight end some, and they kind of use him as an extended tackle. So I think watching film, I was kind of surprised. I was figuring their offensive line would road grade more than I've seen. I watched the Grove game this morning, then I watched the game against Wauseon a little bit in the first half. I think their struggle has been getting the ground game established and then maybe relying a little bit too much on the pass game. And you mentioned the Rosebrook kid. He's got a great arm. He throws a good deep ball.
Quick release. Pretty quick release.
When you have to rely on that and you don't get the run game going, that's not where you want to be as an offense. So you don't want to be in predictable pass situations where it's like, oh, the run game's out and we got to pass. We've seen that be a negative for teams in the past, and that's when you start seeing some interceptions, and when you're putting the ball in harm's way that many times, bad things can happen. So I think this offense is good. It's developing. I think the offensive line is very capable, and we've talked about the Patrick Henry's ability to just scheme up week in and week out against us. They just have a knack of doing it and doing it successfully.
Bill Inceman is a Liberty Center killer, period. Now, I think this Liberty Center coaching staff, when they hear that, will bristle. I think when we put 5 on him in a row, maybe has it been 5 or 6? I'm not sure. I think it's been 5.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that. But he is an equalizer. I think you're right. I think they rode Lincoln last year. He's at Northwestern. I think we rode Waylon Rentz. Those are the co-offensive players of the year right there. You take those two guys out of the equation, and I think that my whole impression from last year was the trenches. I think they were way better than we anticipated. I think that they did really, really well against our run game. Now, obviously, I think that the adjustments, our staff is A+ on adjustments. Where Bill might be the greatest coach in the history of this league, this might be the greatest staff at third quarter, fourth quarter, and maybe second quarter adjustments. We talked about that with Nick as well, with all the technology on the sidelines. To me, it came down to the trenches. And I do agree with you that their defensive line, I think, was really stout.
Yes.
And with Bill's and his staff, knowing Liberty likes to run traps and powers, he schemes traps and powers. So now what's next there? I think we didn't have necessarily an answer, although I liked our quarterback room last year, and I think it did exactly. We're in the state final. We had the ball to win it.
Yep.
So, Grady Miller was really good. And Caden also has that option. I think Caden's different. I think he is the difference maker in this game. And I think that our offensive line is a difference maker, but I think that's where the game is won and lost. Their defensive line against our offensive line.
Yeah.
That is to me, that was last year,
right?
And it is again the same. That's why I'm looking at this. Looks a little bit similar.
Yes.
Yeah, Waylon Rent's unbelievable, is an all-time great. Lincoln Krieger at Northwestern, that says it all. He's a Big Ten football player. Those guys are out now. What's left? A bunch of good players. We got Garrison. They've got Grant Smith, who are now 2 Division I football players.
Right.
But it comes down to the trenches.
Yeah.
How does Liberty Center's offensive line do against that elite defensive line of Patrick Henry?
That's it.
That's why I said it looks similar to me.
It does. Their front seven it's impressive. They got 2 run stuffers, 65 and 55, you just can't move them. And it's not that you just can't move them, but they're wide bodies, but they can penetrate as well.
They get up the field,
and they can get in the backfield and
disrupt some of those later developing plays.
They can. So you got those 2 in the middle. Smith, number 44. They move him around. They'll put him inside. They move him in, defensive end. He's a complete game wrecker. Like, you can't even block him. I just listened to the radio on the way home in the Waseon game. There was a drive. He had 3 sacks on one drive. And it's just like you can't block that guy. So you're going to see 44 all over the place, to the point where, like, you put him on the opposite defensive end. If you run away from him, you got to block him, because he'll come down the line of scrimmage and make the tackle for a loss sometimes. So he is as good of a penetrator from the defensive line that I've seen. And we've seen this for a couple years now. I remember 2 years ago he came over as a sophomore, and he had probably 3 sacks in that game. You're like, and that was a game we won handily, but he was a high point player in that game. He did. That was a sophomore. So now he's a senior. He's available in the run game, really good in the run game. Pass game that's where he's a real problem, because you don't get him blocked, you don't got 3 seconds, and he can not only strip sack, but he had a play against Grove where he tips a ball and intercepts the ball. Like, he is a game wrecker. So I think he's one of the best players in the league on defense, and borderline Division I player. I don't know if he's getting looks or not, but when I watch, I see that.
How do you watch the film and say, "Ooh, that guy"? Even if he's a linebacker,
yes,
3-4
somewhere. I don't care. He may
not
he's a playmaker.
He may not go and play. He might settle into a college. I don't know what he's going to do, but I'm just saying, when I watch him, he's an outstanding.
Yes.
And they don't keep track of sacks as like a state, like, when you talk about statistics. I mean, I think we do, but I don't think it's like a thing people. He has got. He's approaching 60 career sacks. He has over 310 career tackles.
From D-line.
Those statistics alone. He is the single biggest, in my view, with the 2 tackles. That's those 3 dudes right there.
Yeah.
And Jiggs, we talk about defensive backfield. What am I missing here? 4 of those guys return as starters.
Yes.
Now we've talked about our guys.
Right.
Their guys are back, and it's not like we're sitting there dropping back 30 times. No. We got good route runners. We got Jackson. We got Ethan. We got guys. We're going to throw to guys, but they match us a little bit there, bit when you.
And Krieger he's kind of an eraser. I mean, he is a plus athlete. He will intercept the football. They kind of put him on your number one receiver, and he is that good as a corner. So when you got a shutdown type of corner where you put him on your best guy and say, all right, we're going to leave you go, you handle that side, and then you can scheme with the rest of that. That is something to, you can build a defense around, and defense is really impressive.
Well, I think
it really is.
I think when we know what we want to do. We want to run the football. We are very lucky that we have Garrison Cruz, who's, I mean, again, the entire backfield's been very good. Thomas Muller's been good. Baxter Barrett has provided another touchdown last night, and he's not running it that much, but he's a good running back. But we have an elite running back in Garrison Cruz, and they have an elite defense. They've got their elite player. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I'm just thinking to myself, we have not seen a defensive line. Now, again, our coaches, when you talk to them and we press them, they will push you back, and they will have the answers. But I just think we haven't seen a defensive line like this.
No.
And we might not see a defensive line like this till we get into the month of November.
Yeah.
I don't know. This defensive line is that good, and I think Grant Smith is that good. And
Yes.
They're going to figure it out. But it's going to be a man and a half. It's going to be because I think they're going to line him up away from Kellen Warner.
Right, they'll move him anywhere.
They could put him. He's almost like a T.J. Watt type.
Yes.
And if you watch him rush the passer, he's got 2 or 3 pass rushing.
He hits
he's
the
a
hands.
slapper. He's an arm under guy. He's a swimmer.
That's a good comparison.
I mean, he can move. He's got speed.
Yeah.
He could beat you outside shoulder, and I love what it's right down line of scrimmage too. It's not one of these deals where he's big, round.
No.
I mean, he has got 3. Whoever's coaching over there, and I think Bill has mentioned it, has really studied how to get this kid free of, and there were a lot of teams are not handling him with one dude.
No.
If you're going to do that with one dude, I mean, Kellen Weimer could do it.
Yeah.
Why would you? I don't know. Maybe he'll go against Kellen, and maybe that's just going to be the alpha matchup of the night.
That'd be sweet.
But Sawyer
Probably
Bachman,
not. But they were going to move him.
Well, and then you got the other side of the offensive line, which has performed well for us. And I like the Sawyer Bachmans and the Gabe Claps. I like all those guys.
Yeah.
But man, that matchup starts to become
right
advantage Patrick Henry if we don't figure that out. And so I'm thinking that wing's going to be following, and tight ends we're going to be following. And I think it's number 44.
44.
Yeah.
He's a guy you scheme. You have to scheme.
You
for.
will.
You have to.
Because he will, and we don't want to be in 2nd and 16 because he went back there and put you on the ground or got penetration and he had a negative play.
Yep.
He produces a ton of negative plays, Jigs.
Yep.
And not even sacks. He can win
he's just in the
off
backfield.
snap. He's
That's
in the
right.
backfield.
And he's
backfield.
pressuring your quarterback and putting you in the bad plays. And you remember last year, too, the turnovers were a huge part of that game.
Oh, my gosh, huge.
We had
huge.
2 interceptions, I think.
And a fumble.
So we had 3 turnovers versus, Patrick Henry's driving. They fumble at the goal line. Offensive lineman jumps on it, and they score. So I think turnovers could be very interesting in this game. Special teams will be very interesting. I kind of watched a little bit of their kickoffs. They don't kick it very deep.
They don't.
More squib. You're seeing teams start at 35, 40-yard line a lot of times, versus Max Walker, who's putting in the end zone, it's starting at the 20 every time. That's a 15 to 20-yard difference. And I don't know, we talk about Max all the time, but we don't talk about that enough. When you have to drive 80 yards as an offense, and we're going 3 and out, these guys are kicking, we're getting the ball at the 50-yard line, every single time we kick off, it is just field position just gets flipped constantly with our special teams ability. So I think that's going to be a factor in the game too. I've seen him run a few fake punts. That's going to be something. Cal Schroeder's a guy that played quarterback last year.
Yes, he was good against us.
He was. So they've run some halfback passes. They did that big play against Grove. Their offense was sputtering a little bit. Halfback pass deep down the field, wide open. So be ready for some trickeration because they have some guys that can do those things.
Skilled guys can do a variety of things. They have 13 starters back, 8 starters on defense. I think that's the story for me. I do think special teams is a very, very interesting part of this game. I think their defense against our offense. I think Garrison Cruz now is at peak level, and I think he will be more than ready to take that on, just like Waylon Rentz was last year when we needed it. We went right to Waylon, and he delivered. I think that offensive line delivered. I think Garrison Cruz is our game wrecker for them. I don't know if they have an answer for him. I do think this Akavian Kreider at linebacker, he was an all-league player last year, big tackle. I mean, again, all three levels, they've got players that are really good on defense. And it's, you want to talk about Bill Ensimon's innovation on offense and all those things. This defense is where they're built. This whole thing is on defense to me. And I think they put a ton of time into it. Not that Bill's not quarterbacking it and teaching this offense and the running backs and Reed and throwing the football to Trent Johnson, who I think that tight end is a very interesting guy in this game too.
Yes.
The middle of the field.
And Smith, they moved Smith at tight end as well.
They do. I think those guys are impact players in the middle of the football field. And sometimes those aren't great matchups for us. I think Jackson Lonizak is a good matchup. But, you start talking about where's Max Walker going to be? Of course, I think Garrison Cruz can handle some of that incoming, but are we going to pressure? Are we going to cover? I think we've been very good at covering. Sometimes we haven't been a big sack team. It's not what we do. We get pressure. We get Hunter Spangler. We get we talked about Sawyer Bachelman. Some of those guys are getting pressures. We are pushing pockets with Cifuentes, but we're not a big sack team.
Yeah.
Well, these guys have done a really good job of moving the quarterback around, put him in shotgun. They throw those quick outs, +7. Now you're 2nd and 3. The thing I like about Bill, too, he's always in a manageable situation. He's always in that, he's always ahead of the sticks. Right. And I think he's able to possess the football that way.
Yep.
This passing game can go vertical, but I think a lot of what you see, Jigs, what I saw in the Grove game, Will Hicksville game, Will Ayersville game, they'll matriculate tight ends inside those hashes.
Yep.
They'll be happy to put together a 9 to 10 play drive and possess a football a little bit like what Otsego tried to do to us.
Yeah, and I think they want to make this game ugly.
Yes.
Like they did last year, right? Get this thing longer drives, limit Liberty Center's possessions. I think if you just look
get some stops,
offensively,
just get a few stops on Liberty.
I think advantage offensively Liberty coming in, and they obviously know that. You just look at some scores and just kind of the way these offenses are built. So they want to ugly this thing up, and longer drives or kind of try to lean on the run game a little bit more just to kind of shorten the game up. I think if you look though, just defensively, some of the scores that they've given up, I think they at times, not that they struggle on offense, but they are better defensively. I think they only gave up 7 to Grove, 7 to Ossian last night, only scored 19. So at times the offense can struggle, but this defense is very
Was
elite.
that Grove game 26-21, or was that Grove game? Because I thought that was a good game for a while.
It was a good game. So they threw. It was 14-7. Grove was driving, threw a pick on like a 3rd and long, and then Patrick Kearney went down and scored. So I think it was 21-7. I think is what it ended up being.
Wasion 19-7 last night, and then they blew out Hicksville, Bryan, and Ayersville. I think they handled those opponents, or the guys they're playing early. They really handled some of those teams early, but. Patrick Henry 5-0 for sure, and they're a legitimate 5-0, and this will be the best team that we play all year in the regular season. You can't say what's going to happen in a regional final, but I just in this NWOAL, this is the game. How many times have we said DH Liberty is the game of the year?
It's right.
I mean, 20, 15, 13, like undefeated. Here we go. Like I remember this game in the 90s was the same way.
Packed.
I mean,
just packed house.
And they
line them up.
I think they got this one a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Bill's thinking they kind of got this.
Yeah.
I spent a little time with Bill on some of the playoff stuff, and he was really helpful. He liked the 8-team regional stuff. He supported our group. Got a chance to spend a little time with him, and I think he thinks Liberty Center is the best team in the league, and I'm not going to disagree. I think we are. I think he's got a little something for you. He does.
He can scheme up defensively. I mean, he has given our run game problems year after year after year. So it's going to be one heck of a matchup.
Well, 5-0 and 5-0, both teams state ranked. It's going to be at Rex Lindgren Stadium, Kip Kern Field. The last time they came over here without Lincoln Krieger, that was a 62.
Ooh, yeah,
that was one of those historic beatdowns.
I don't see that happening.
No, I see this being
this is going to be a war.
This is going to be right in the middle of the ring, and I think Bill Inseman, this one could be as sweet for him if he gets it. But I think the staff of Liberty Center is more than ready for a game like this. Should be very exciting, Jigs. We'll pod it when we're done. Hopefully, we'll be And what does he say, Mark? He says, I'm not undefeated. It'll be maybe a 6-win football team. Mark and I talk about that each week. Mark sometimes in our interviews says, they're not undefeated. We are all a 6-win, a 5-win team. So Liberty Center, 5-0, PH 5-0. Liberty number 1 in the AP poll. Pretty cool stuff happening here at Liberty Center. Looking forward to next week. We give a lot of thanks to Crossbuck Construction, Nathan Lighty, and looking forward to talking about this next week. So